Thank you guys for joining us this afternoon. Those of you joining us on the live stream, thank you for joining us this afternoon as well. And again, I apologize to the worship team for cutting you off. But I guess I'm the boss, or you're the boss, but I'm the one of the potato. I wear the pants. She just tells me which ones to wear, right? So we're not going to waste any time today. Let's get into today's passage. If you can open your Bibles or turn your holy mobiles and meet me in 2 Kings 5, 1 through 17. 2 Kings 5, 1 through 17. Now Naaman was a commander of the army of the king of Aram. He was a great man in the sight of his master and highly regarded, because through him the Lord had given victory to Aram. He was a valiant soldier, but he had leprosy. Now bands of raiders from Aram had gone out and had taken captive a young girl from Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "If only my master would see the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy." Naaman went to his master and told him what the girl from Israel had said. "By all means, go," the king of Aram replied. "I will send a letter to the king of Israel." So Naaman left, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 sets of clothing. The letter that he took to the king of Israel read, "With this letter I'm sending my servant Naaman to you so that you may cure him of his leprosy." Verse 7, as soon as the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his robes and said, "Am I God? Can I kill and bring back to life? Why does this fellow send someone to me to be cured of his leprosy? See how he is trying to pick a quarrel with me?" When Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his robes, he sent him this message: "Why have you torn your robes? Have the man come to me, and he will know that there is a prophet in Israel." So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and stopped at the door of Elisha's house. Elisha sent a messenger to say to him, "Go wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored, and you shall be cleansed." But Naaman went away angry and said, "I thought that he would surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord, his God, wave his hand over the spot, and cure me of my leprosy. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be cleansed?" So he turned and went off in a rage. Naaman's servants went to him and said, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then when he tells you, 'Wash and be cleansed'?" So he went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, as the man of God had told him, and his flesh was restored and became clean like that of a young boy. 15. Then Naaman and all his attendants went back to the man of God. He stood before him and said, "Now I know that there is no God in all the world except in Israel. So please accept a gift from your servant." The prophet answered, "As surely as the Lord lives, whom I serve, I will not accept a thing." And even though Naaman urged him, he refused. "If you will not," said Naaman, "please let me, your servant, be given as much earth as a pair of mules can carry, for your servant will never again make burnt offerings and sacrifices to any other God but the Lord." Your servant again will never again make burnt offerings and sacrifices. How many times have we said that? "Lord, take this hangover away. I'll never drink again." Am I the only one? Come on, I ain't the only one that said that. You guys act like y'all were born holy, sons, second cousins to Jesus. So we can draw so many lessons from this passage, from this leper that goes by the name of Naaman. And actually there are several characters in the story here that we can glean from throughout every stage of this journey, whether that be as leaders, learning from the prophet Elisha, who knew he knew his identity, right? He knew he had a message to carry, and he was bold and he was blunt in his message. He also had Elijah as his mentor, the servant girl as well. We could learn from her, but we'll dive into those a little bit later. So some context for this afternoon's text. So we have Israel currently living in a divided kingdom. We got the 10 northern tribes that form the kingdom of Israel, and then you got the 2 southern tribes that form the kingdom of Judah. For those that want to dive deeper, the books of 1st and 2nd Kings, those record the history of both kingdoms, and then 1st and 2nd Chronicles pretty much just focus on the history of Judah. For you future Bible scholars, dive into that. Elijah was a prophet. Elijah was a prophet who was sent to call the people of Israel back to God. And Elisha was his successor. Elijah, Elisha, Ja and Sha. Okay? Elisha was the successor who had asked for a double portion of Elijah's spirit when he was taken up to heaven. And in Syria, where Naaman was from, they were always beefing with Israel. And if you were to read in the next few chapters, they're at war again and again. And throughout all the beefing, this servant girl that we read about in this story, she had been taken captive. And the king of Israel's reaction again to the letter, as we read, it speaks to that tension that was going, the beef that was going on between the 2 kingdoms. So we have Naaman, who is the commander for the Syrian king's army. He was a great commander because of his victories. He was an honorable man, a man of valor, of prestige, a man of status, a man of wealth. But he was a leper. He was a leper. He was slowly being disfigured, losing the tips of his nose and his fingers, his toes. And at the time, it was basically a death sentence. For all his wealth, all his achievements, his status, couldn't get him out of this one. He couldn't physically battle his way out of this one. No amount of money or possessions will allow him to escape his fate. I wonder if Naaman, with all his fame and glory, was using his accomplishments to cope and prove his worth. Come on, somebody. Even though we're reading about a man that lived several millennia ago, I believe it's something that we struggle to this day. I know it's something that I've dealt with in my personal life. This achievement-based approval is ingrained into Western culture, and rather than trying to deal with our leprosy, right? In today's text, it's physical, but I believe for us here today, it's emotional, it's past trauma, it's those things we touched on in Monterey last weekend. We need to break the assumption that success and prestige in the eyes of others will bring us happiness and fulfillment. It won't, if you're wondering. Just in case you're wondering, it won't. Trust me, like I said, I'm speaking from experience. The pain, the emptiness, the feeling of unworthiness, it all remains. It's still there. Regardless of your yearly salary, it may distract you from it, but it won't heal you from it. We're just insecure overachievers. Insecure overachievers. I would challenge you to deal with your junk. To look in the mirror and ask God if this is you. If you're an insecure overachiever, masking some type of leprosy, right? With success or achievement or ambition. Let him show you the leprosy that needs healing and pursue that healing however that may look for you. If we can pull up verse 2, yeah? Verse 2 through 4, whatever slide that has that, or part of the... Now bands of raiders from Aram had gone out and had taken a captive a young girl from Israel. So this is where it's talking about they've taken captive this young girl. We have this servant girl from Israel who tells her master about a prophet that could heal Naaman. Why would she want to help Naaman? He was her captor, right? We don't know much about her. Scripture doesn't tell us if he freed her after he was healed, if he thanked her or anything like that. We don't hear too much about her after this passage of Scripture. All we know is what her actions had showed us. That's all we can go by is what her actions had showed us. And one of the things it showed us is that age doesn't matter when it comes to serving God. God used her, and her age didn't matter. God used her to show a man of name and status, of a God that heals. It didn't matter her current situation. She was sharing with others God's goodness. She was sharing with others of a God that heals. It didn't matter where she was at. Remember, she was a servant. She was taken captive, yet she was still sharing God's love with her captors. She had the courage to speak up about her faith. I know for a while, it's hard for me to invite people sometimes, you know? It's like, what are they going to think? What are they going to say? They think I'm a weirdo. We got to get into this culture of inviting people. We're talking about that earlier as we were praying. Like, invite people. We serve a God, and we feel, truly, if we feel this is a place where you can find restoration, reassignment, and to be released to your pre-designed intention of what God has called you to do, wouldn't we invite? Right? Wouldn't we invite? This little girl wanted to see God's goodness over the man that was responsible for her captivity. And she wanted nothing in return. Come on, somebody. We get cut off in traffic and we're wishing their tires would blow out and crash and get pulled over, and we'll honk as we're driving by, smiling. Can we desire to see God's goodness over those that we feel have wronged us? Those co-workers and colleagues and those ones we once called friends even. Can we desire to see God heal that one family member that will be sitting across from us in a few weeks at Thanksgiving? This little servant girl was never mentioned again, but her actions spoke volumes. So we have the king of Syria sending the king of Israel a letter, stating that he is sending Naaman to him so that he may heal him. And the king of Israel responds in such a way, right? He tears his robes. And they would do this to show deep sorrow or repentance or anger. But in this case, it's an unpleasant situation, and he's tearing his robes. Israel feels that Syria is provoking them. Bit dramatic, right? Can you imagine if we did that today? You get pulled over, license and registration, please. You get called into the office because you're getting fired. You're tearing your clothes. The mechanic tells you what it's going to cost to fix your car twice. You and your spouse are arguing. That might be a good thing, though. Argument over. Brown chicken, brown, brown. That's going to go into our next marriage ceremony, in our next marriage seminar. But in all seriousness, wasn't the king's reaction a bit dramatic, like the characters in my mom's novelas? Is the king of Israel. It's the king of Israel. Did he not know of Elisha? It's the king of Israel. How do you not know of Elisha? Of Elijah and then his success? How do you not, all the things that happened, all the things he did, how do you not know of Elisha? To even call on him. But isn't that us at times? We allow the situation to stress us out and getting all anxious and feeling anxious when someone talks about us, when an unexpected bill pops up, or when things just ain't going our way. Getting all crazy. Do we not know the God we serve? Do we not know that if God is before us, who can be against us? Do we not know that? It's scripture that he owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, that the Lord shall renew our strength, that will mount up with wings as eagles, run and not be weary, shall walk and not faint. Do we not know these things? Come on, guys, isn't that us at times getting all worked up? Getting all worked up. Like we're not children of the Most High. Elijah was able to speak to the king and say, dude, chill out. Send him my way. Why are you tearing your robe? Like, why are you being all dramatic? Give someone in your life permission. Give someone in your life permission to check you. Can you pull up verse 8, Mia? The slide that has 8 on it. When Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his robes, he sent this message: "Why have you torn your robes?" Like, why are you tearing your clothes up? "Have the man come to me, and he will know that there is a prophet in Israel." Elijah had to remind the king that there is a prophet in Israel. What are you doing? Why are you tearing your clothes? Did you forget that I'm a prophet of the Lord? Elisha was basically telling the king, like, get it together. I got this. Get it together. God's got this. God's got this. We all need an Elisha in our lives to remind us of who God is when life throws us curveballs. When life throws that left hook, that unexpected punch that comes at us and knocks us off our feet. We all need an Elisha, and when given the opportunity, we have to be that Elisha for others. Even when we are not in an ideal situation, as we learned of the servant girl, right? She was an Elisha to Naaman. And she wasn't in an ideal situation. Think about it. This was a little girl thinking this way. Naaman comes to Elisha's house. If we go to 9, Mia, you might just want to keep it up because I'm just going to kind of probably go down. So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and stopped at the door of Elisha's house. Elisha sent the messenger to say to him, "Go wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan." Naaman comes to Elijah's house. God's message to us, his guidance, his direction, it's often simple. Go wash yourself into the Jordan. Go wash yourself in the Jordan 7 times. Simple. We complicate it, right? We complicate it. It's often pretty simple when God gives us direction, when He gives us guidance, when He gives us a path to healing, a path to healing, a path to breakthrough. Often it's simple. We make it complicated. It's sometimes so simple that we have a hard time believing it's actually going to work. In some instances, as in the one with Naaman, I believe it was pride. I believe it can be pride. If we go to 11, but Naaman went away angry. Go wash yourself in the Jordan and you're going to be healed. And he walks away angry. I thought he would surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord, his God, wave his hand over the spot and cure me of my leprosy. Naaman was furious that Elisha didn't come out and meet him, that he sent a messenger. How dare you not heal me the way I should be healed? Or, for some of us today, how dare the pastor say to sit at the feet of Jesus and journal? How dare he not wave his hand over the spot and cure me of my leprosy? Or how dare pastor say go to marriage counseling? How dare him say to seek therapy? How dare he say to dip in the filthy Jordan River? Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the rivers of Israel? How dare pastor want to baptize me at Avocado Lake? Not Shaver or Bass or Huntington. Avocado? Get drowned by a shopping cart at the bottom of the lake. In Naaman's defense, though, the Jordan River is not that great. We've been there. I think you got some pictures of it up there, Mia. Look, look at that water. That don't look too. We got to baptize Danicia, and it was awesome. But it was an awesome moment. We're teary-eyed. But look at that water. Like, that's the Jordan. That's the Jordan. So yeah, your fish were eating your toe fungus, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. But the actual river, like, you could see why Naaman was like, in that river, in that water. Even though the times and cultures might have changed, it doesn't seem like our responses to the situations have. The more things change, the more they stay the same, right? The message was simple. Go wash in the Jordan 7 times, and you will be clean. You will be healed of this leprosy. The answer didn't please Naaman. He was great in the eyes of the Syrians. Remember, he was a man of stature. He was a mighty leader, a commander over a great army. He expected a show, and he was angry because he didn't get one. He wanted to see some grandiose spectacle with pyrotechnics, a light show, and a fog machine. The point of the miracle in the Bible, the point of a miracle in the Bible, whether it's this or the other ones we read, was never to be a show or highlight the worker of the miracle. Even when Jesus was walking the earth performing miracles, he always pointed to the Father. Jesus performed miracles to confirm that he was the Son of God, that he is the Son of God. Even though when Jesus performed them, they were not a big show. It wasn't a big grandiose spectacle. It was never to highlight the miracle worker, right? It was to highlight the Father, the one who not enables us, but who I guess enables us, right? Who gives us it uses us to bring forth the miracles, to bring forth the healing. The woman with the issue of blood, blind Bartimaeus, the various lepers Jesus healed, the centurion's servant, Jairus' daughter. So many more that we read about that he healed. All spectacular, but none of them a spectacle. We expect things to be done according to the way we think they should be done, right? We think we should get our healing this way. We think God should just, a magical check should appear in the mailbox. Although you've heard stories like that, but I've never experienced that. Speak it. We expect things to be done a certain way, for things to happen a certain way. We put an expectation on how God should, how the God of the universe, right, should intervene on our behalf in our lives, right? We're expecting that from God. Doesn't that sound kind of silly? Isaiah 55, 8 through 9 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are my ways your ways. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." God is omnipresent. This is one of his characteristics, that he is able to be present to all ranges of both space and time, of both time and space. And as a good friend of mine would always say, let's break it down Sesame Street Cookie Monster style. I'm going to explain this to you guys. We would screw it up. We would screw it all up if God would heal or rescue us out of situations in the order and the fashion that we would want him to. Or we would expect him to do so, right? We'd screw it all up. Think of the movie Back to the Future, right? For those of you older, think of Back to the Future. Or for you youngers, think of the young folk, think of Avengers. We know that in those movies, right? In those movies, whenever the something was altered in the space-time continuum, everything got jacked up, right? Remember Michael J. Fox and his Polaroid, he started disappearing, or he couldn't go that way because then his mom, like his mom would want to like him, you know? So it was just all this crazy stuff. And God has a bird's eye view of our situation, of our lives, and all that it entails, and we're all connected to, and who our purpose is tied to, and what we need to experience to see that come to fruition. All these things intertwine painfully, beautifully in our lives to play out the calling on our lives and catapult our future generations into the pre-designed intention of being fully alive in what God has called them to do here on earth. Does that make sense? That makes sense? All right. Avengers, Back to the Future. Can you see how we can't control how healing comes? Our thoughts and our ways are not like his. God's ways are higher than what we can comprehend. It's like a Guy Ritchie movie when everything gets... Guy, that's my favorite type of movie. All the Guy Ritchie movies. All these characters and situations from opposite sides of life, all intertwining throughout the movie. And at the end of the movie, every character, every situation, it had a purpose to see the end result of what was going to happen. And as the credits start rolling, you're like, I did not see that happening. I did not see that happening. I just stepped out of that. So we got it, right? Yeah. We got it. Go and dip in the Jordan 7 times. Naaman almost walked away from from his healing. But fortunately for him, he had some people in his circle that had the courage to speak into his life, and that he gave permission to or allowed. You know, sometimes people can want to speak into our lives or speak into our lives, and we put the wall up. If we can look at the slide that has verse 13, Mia. Naaman's servant went to him and said, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then when he tells you, wash and be cleansed?" That's the second time in today's passage that we read about the importance of having people in your circle that can speak into your situation, right? I feel some of us need to hear that, to adhere to that, right? How much would have been forfeited in today's passage if these people didn't have anyone speaking into their lives? Think about how much we have forfeited in the past for not having that. Or some of us even currently. How much have you forfeited for not having those types of people in your circle, or in some cases having a circle at all? We're not lone wolves. We're not lone wolves as much as you think you can do it on your own and I'm good. I don't need that. I don't need nobody. You don't need no one all up in your business. The Bible tells us. Every motivational speaker and life coach says it. And if you were here for our relationship seminar, we learned about attachment trauma responses and hyperindependence and social isolation. We hear it everywhere. But of course, you're smarter than God. You're smarter than God, the psychologists, and all the life coaches and gurus of which books you are reading. Allow people into your circle. If you could go ahead and come on up, Danisha, I'm getting ready to close out. As I close this afternoon, just think back on the lessons throughout today's message, and as we move forward in our lives to try to implement some of those, if not all. And as I close this afternoon, I know that some of you here, maybe some of you on the live stream, have reached out to God for healing, for help in some situation that you're going through, or you may have been given direction by a trusted friend, pastor, or therapist, and it's not in the form that you expected, right? Maybe your healing, your answer is on the other side. As a matter of fact, I know your healing is on the other side of that. Whatever was directed, whatever was asked, your healing is on the other side of that. What if Naaman had stopped at 6? We hear it all the time, right? It's on shirts everywhere. Every motivational speech you hear is trust the process. Trust the process. What if he stopped at 6? But pastor, it's taking forever. Maybe you've only dipped 3 times. You still have 4 more to go. Trust the process. Sometimes there's a lesson in the time it takes to get to 7 dips. Each dip is a lesson. For some of you, today is that first dip. Maybe you need to start with forgiveness. Your first dip is forgiving that person that so hurt you. Maybe it's forgiving yourself for what you've done and what you've been through. What if you're on dip number 6 today? You're sick and tired of being the bigger person. Why can't I just act like them? Why can't I just treat them crappy like they treat me? But you're on number 6. You're just one more away from breakthrough. You're just one more dip away from breakthrough. Don't give up. Don't give up. Keep doing what God has called you to do. Keep coming to church. Keep serving. Keep praying. Keep singing. Keep journaling. Whatever it is, keep doing it, because you just might be on dip number 6. You just might be on dip number 6. Can you stay the course? Can you stay the course and dip just one more time? Come on, I know some of you had no problem dipping out on the dance floor. You can dip one more time. You can dip 6 more times. Your pastora has persevered through so much. Not only because she was baptized and dipped in the Jordan. No matter how difficult it was to do what God asked of her, she dipped. Dip, baby, dip, baby, dip. She has a song for that. She has a song for that. Yeah, don't play Tootsie Roll because Pastora will hit the dance floor fast. Oh man, I should have had Rudy here bring his DJ equipment. You play Tootsie Roll, Giovanna's gone. She on that dance floor quick. As soon as it plays, come on, sound team. Dip, baby, dip. That's what I have for you this afternoon. We'll have a prayer team up here for you guys to, if you need prayer for anything, they would love to catch hands with you.